Hey yo guys, it's me Marcus Pearson, and for today's video, I'm going to be doing a review on WWE Payback 2016. And I can honestly say, just without even telling you anything, this is a controversial pay-per-view. A lot of stuff happened, and I really look forward to getting into it with you guys. So let's review just a quick recap of the kickoff matches, which featured Kalisto defending his US title against Ryback in a WrestleMania rematch. I can honestly tell you, I did not even bother watching the match, so I literally just found a source to tell me. I have really no interest in the kickoff show matches because, to be honest, I know they say it's still part of the pay-per-view, but in all reality it's not, and they just do that because I guess they feel that those matches aren't needed on the actual card. So, Kalisto retained his title against Ryback in a clean victory, and while Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin ended up with Ziggler taking the win via a roll-up pin. So, kind of what I expected. I didn't think Ryback would win the title, nor did I think Baron was gonna lose in a clean loss to Ziggler. Now, the first match to open the show was the WWE Tag Team Tournament, which was the team of Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy versus the Vaudevillains Simon Gotch and Aiden English. So this match was off to a really good start, just back and forth. You saw Enzo and Cass doing some tag team moves, basically demolishing the Vaudevillains, but I must sadly inform you that Enzo Amore suffered a serious injury at the event. The injury took place when Simon Gotch attempted to throw Amore over the ropes out of the ring. However, Amore attempted to move his head on the way out, resulting in him smacking his face on the rope and then smacking the back of his head onto the mat before falling and appearing limp. Like, I am not even joking. Limp. He was not moving. He was out. And they immediately stopped the match and held up the X, indicating that this was no joke. This was not a work. This was not staged. Enzo Amore was legitimately hurt, and he would later on be diagnosed with a concussion. So in the end, the Vaudevillains took the win, and I'm assuming since Enzo will be out for probably 4 to 6 weeks at the easiest, the Vaudevillains will go on to face the New Day. Now, next up was Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, a rivalry that has been described as ongoing for 14 years. So this was a very intense back and forth match. It really fired up the crowd, and it left plenty of room for more. There's definitely more fuel in the tank to this feud if Sami finally gets a win instead of beating Owens for the first time on WWE TV. So, with that said, Kevin Owens picked up the victory after a pop-up powerbomb to Zayn. But afterwards, he brought in Byron Saxton to the win and demanded Saxton ask him about how he feels about winning to the heat of the crowd, and then he announces he wants his Intercontinental title back, to which Saxton tells him is the next match. So he then goes on to do assistant color commentary with Saxton for the next match. Now, like I said, the next match was Cesaro versus The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship, which was a match, in my opinion, completely in favor of Cesaro. The Miz got a few hits in, but it was Cesaro dominating most of the match, which leads me to tell you, Cesaro came really close to taking the title away from The Miz. However, an angered Sami Zayn made his way back into the ring and attacked Owens, who was color commentating side by side with Byron. So this fight ended up going into the ring, where it distracted the referee as Miz was actually tapping out to Cesaro, which Cesaro became frustrated and hit Owens and Zayn out of the ring, which led to The Miz getting a roll-up pin victory. So that is the result of that match. Yes, I know, sad, but hopefully Cesaro will get another rematch. Now, next up would be Chris Jericho versus Dean Ambrose, a rivalry that started a few weeks ago on Raw when Chris Jericho was interviewing himself on the highlight reel when Dean Ambrose would come out and tell him that the highlight reel was cancelled and instead the Ambrose asylum would take place. So over the next few weeks they would be going at it with each other, Ambrose dirty deeding Jericho, Jericho code breaking Ambrose. It was just a back and forth rivalry to set up this match. So the match in general was a really fun match that went back and forth, and it really could have gone either way by how it was playing out. Each man got a couple of their finishers in. In the end, Ambrose would take the win because Jericho's being cocky and everything, telling the crowd to shut up, the basic heel stuff. But then Dean Ambrose would go on and take the win after hitting a dirty deeds on Jericho. A clean win, and something that Ambrose deserves. He's suffered a lot of losses lately, and he needed this victory just to show the crowd that he does still have it. And now, next up would be the Women's Championship match. Natalya with Bret Hart at her side against Charlotte the Champion, who had her father, Ric Flair, at the side. So this match, in my opinion, is just the typical Divas match. It's something that, in my opinion, was kind of thrown together. I respect both competitors a lot. Charlotte has come far since she's made her debut in last summer from NXT. She was the NXT Women's Champion. She made a lot. And Natalya, she's a veteran in the WWE. She's been here for a good 8 years at least. And she's held the Divas title before, but never the women's title. So this match was very back and forth, and it ended in a screw job. They made a reference to the Montreal screw job because in the end, Charlotte put Natalya in the figure 4 leg lock. Oh wait, no, I did not say that right. I meant to say the sharpshooter. And then the bell was rung by the announcer before there was any tap out made. So it was a screw job. But afterwards, Bret got involved into the match and he attacked Ric Flair, putting him in the sharpshooter, while Natalya would put Charlotte in the sharpshooter. So this rivalry will obviously continue within Extreme Rules next month. Next up is the Vince McMahon segment, where he comes out to announce who will be taking over Raw, either his son Shane or his daughter Stephanie, which is basically a sibling rivalry. So this got things really heated up because everyone loved Shane, everyone hated Stephanie. And a couple CM Punk chants started up the whole segment. Vince even mocked the crowd and told them to keep going. And he went on to talk about how Raw's been successful over the years and how the show has been evolved. And the Punk chants keep going. And Vince kind of gets fed up. You can tell he got fed up, so he just keeps doing his heel moves, insulting the crowd. Then here comes Stephanie, who starts talking about how Shane has been taking risks, but the Authority was there for the debuts of The Shield, New Day, AJ Styles, etc., and how they launched the WWE Network, and how Shane even left for 7 years, and who knows, he could do the same thing again. Basically, sucking up to her father, until Shane comes out. The crowd goes crazy because he's obviously the favorite of the children, and gets a huge pop from the crowd. Every time he just makes one sentence, the crowd goes crazy because they love Shane. And then they went on about how Shane lost his match against The Undertaker. The only reason Vince gave him control is because he felt bad for Shane, how Shane outsmarted him, and how he just wanted to see if he could do it. Which he even admitted Shane did. But eventually just some back and forth talk between Shane and Stephanie, to the point where Vince gets frustrated and just tells them that they will both be running Monday Night Raw, and makes them shake hands, and they reluctantly agree. But Vince leaves, and then they leave together, both co-joint owners of Raw now. And next up would be the main event of the night, which is Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And this was a very frustrating match to watch because I'm not going to lie, they both stood strong in the ring and against each other. They work well. They have some really good chemistry against each other. And it was just a really back and forth match until AJ would attack Roman, lay him onto the table, and then do a phenomenal forearm through the table, smashing the table. Reigns and AJ Styles are down. AJ attempts to get up because the count is drawing near by the ref. They were around 6 or 7. Styles picks up Reigns, attempts to put him back into the ring. However, he's at 9. Reigns is unable to get back into the ring. Styles runs into the ring and gets the win by countout. However, Shane McMahon comes down and says that a win like that might have been okay in the old era, but the new era will see this match continue, and it will continue with no countouts as Shane instructs the match continues. So the match would go on with no countouts. So Reigns gets back into the ring, continues his battle against Styles, and then as Styles attempts to do a move from the turnbuckle, Roman gets a low blow and hits Styles, which leads to Styles on the ground screaming because he has been hurt, where the ref would ring the bell and give AJ the win by disqualification. However, then Stephanie McMahon would come out and announce that the match would be restarted as a no disqualification match. So the match is back on once again for the second time, where this is taken advantage because Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson enter the ring and ambush Reigns and beat him up. So they send in AJ back into the ring to get the cover, where Roman gets his foot on the ropes, giving himself more time in the match. So afterwards, the Usos would come out and attack Anderson and Gallows, allowing for another back and forth and really close pinfalls between Reigns and Styles, where eventually Reigns would get the victory after a spear to Styles. So, all in all, my thoughts about the pay-per-view, it was very controversial, especially Enzo's injury and then the match being restarted twice in the main event. But all in all, a decent pay-per-view, I will not lie, and I look forward to Extreme Rules next month. So thank you all for taking the time to watch this video, and I will see you all next time. See you later.